and welcome to the 2019 GR Supra GT Cup. My name is Tom Brooks. Alongside me for this one is Chaz Draycott, bringing you the action from the Asia region race that took place here a few days ago. So let's get straight into it, shall we, and review the points after 12 rounds of the GR Supra GT Cup. You can see Karakuma leads the way at the top of the field, but not by a big margin. The top 6 drivers separated by, well, fewer than 500 points. That is very impressive indeed. Karakuma at the top, SG Kawakana in second, Yamato, Kazunokota, Dojo Racing, and then a Kagi 1942. Chaz, that's pretty tantalising, isn't it?
That's unbelievable. It's closer than any of the other regions that we've seen. A lot of them we've had like 5,000 point gaps from 1st to 16th, but even here, there's barely 3,000 points between them, and like you say, that top 6 is unbelievable. Well, if you look again, 9th to 13th as well, only a couple of 100 points there as well, even including 8th place, Black Beauty. This could go any way after this round, and that's what makes this so exciting, I suppose.
Well, let's take a closer look at the circuit we're going to be competing on then, shall we, ahead of this race. It is one that really doesn't need an introduction. The Nürburgring, the 24-hour circuit. The Nordschleife, which of course is combined with the Grand Prix loop. 25.3 kilometres. More sectors than you can shake a stick at, 16 in total. Famous corners including Flugplatz, the Schumacher S, Bergwerk, the Carousel there as well, the Steffenbeloff S, and of course going on to the Döttinger Höhe, that straight, which is the opportune passing place. Huge elevation changes as well in the countryside, as you can see, 300 metres of elevation change to be precise, and that is going to make things very, very exciting indeed. A closer look at the circuit, as you'll see on your screen coming up now, will reveal, of course, the full layout of the circuit, the start-finish straight through the Grand Prix loop there, Chaz, and then you flick it left after the chicane to go on to the Nordschleife layout.
It's very daunting circuit. The Nordschleife alone is a daunting one, but when you've got to do the Grand Prix loop as well, it's almost as if you have to sort of change your driving style just because of how different they are in terms of surface, in terms of width, and, you know, run-off areas and gravel traps at the Grand Prix circuit. And then you get onto the Nordschleife and you've just got trees and barriers either side of you. You can't make any mistakes, and it's really going to keep these guys on their toes. It may be only 3 laps, you'd think, but when you see how long this track is, I mean, the numbers are amazing. 89 corners, 25 kilometres. This is going to be a real test of their concentration.
2 penalty loops, as you can see as well. The Döttinger Höhe being one, and then the run up towards the Dunlop curve on the Grand Prix layout there as well. So if any drivers exceed track limits or, of course, have some unsportsmanlike conduct outside on track, they will have to take the time penalty as a result of that. The race details then, of course, we're competing in the GR Supra RZ machines on sports hard tyres. 3 laps of the Nürburgring Nordschleife circuit. A rolling start for these drivers as well. 4 times fuel consumption, 13 times tyre wear as well. Now, strategy. What do we reckon for this one, Chaz?
Well, it'll be very interesting to see whether anyone can make these hard tyres last till the end. 2 laps life in them. Because it's a longer lap, you'd have thought the effect of having shattered tyres would be profound. But you never know. We could see whether someone will stretch it to the end. Some of them may be brave and just think, yeah, we don't need we don't need a pit stop, so, you know, the amount of time we may lose may not be necessary. But it'll be interesting to see, like I say. I'm expecting everyone to just stick it out to the end, really. I think that they may just not pit. If one guy at the front doesn't pit, then they may all just follow him and go with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll remains to be seen what will happen, but let's get ready then to get this race underway, shall we? Cars lined up on the grid, a rolling start for the drivers. Dual Wheel will lead the field over the line ahead of Lotus Racing T127, then Dojo Racing, who of course is competitive in the standings, as well as Kuru Mania. So who is going to lead the way down towards the first corner at the Nordschleife then? So Dual Wheel leads the field over the timing line as we get ready to get this GR Supra GT Cup race underway for the Asia region, and weaving all over the straight there for Dual Wheel as he tries to break the toe from Lotus Racing T127. I think that's a little bit naughty there. I think you should make one move but not be incessantly weaving all over the straight. Down in towards the first corner, you can see 4th position there. Kuru Mania is trying to send it down the inside of Dojo Racing. Isn't quite able to make that move stick through the first part of that corner and can't quite make anything happen through the second part of it either. But Dual Wheel holds on to his position there. Lotus Racing into second place, Dojo Racing in third. So the top 5 haven't actually changed positions at all off the start, but remains to be seen whether they'll be able to do anything here on this Grand Prix loop before they go on to the Nordschleife layout.
Yeah, dual-wheeled actually managed that start pretty well, to be honest. I agree with you on the moving, though. It shouldn't really be a massive amount of weaving like that, but it was actually quite surprising to see, because surely you'd think he'd scrub off a lot of speed doing that as well, and the other guys could just carry on in a straight line and just drive past him. But interesting to see that he wasn't the only one doing it. One thing I've noticed, the liveries on these cars are absolutely fantastic. Some of them are just amazing. They're so just detailed and really sort of frantic liveries. They're all nose to tail at the moment though, but dual-wheeled 0.7 of a second into the lead, so he's not doing anything wrong at the moment. He's just doing what he needs to do. But Lotus Racing, I'm sure, will try and keep him honest. But if I'm honest with you, dual-wheel's got gold wheels on that car, and as a fan of Japanese cars, you've got to have gold wheels.
And he's playing a good advantage. He's dual-wheeled in the lead of the race at the moment. There is Kurumania, very distinctive Japanese anime-inspired livery on the side of his car. And keeping the pressure onto Dojo Racing, keeping the pressure off behind as well of Hein to HHF. I wonder if that HHF is any reference to Heinz-Harald Frentzen, of course, the former German Formula 1 driver. Down in towards the chicane we go for the first time then of asking, and then we're going to flick it left to Bollal, being flicked up there by Dojo Racing, who gets a slow run through there. Kurumania is going to pull alongside, and he's going to go down the inside, but he runs it a little bit hot through that left-hander. Dojo Racing gets the switchback. They rub door handles. There's a bit of contact between them as they come down into the left-hander here. Brilliant racing. Kurumania tries to stick it through round the outside. He's up on the curb, he's sideways, but he somehow manages to get the drive out of that corner and get into third place.
That was really feisty by Kurumania. There wasn't really a gap there to begin with, but he found one. That was awesome to see. Really pushed his way down the inside. He was very, very deep into the corner, but Dojo Racing as well, really respectful stuff, to be fair. They had a bit of door banging, but there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we all want to see. Now Kurumania needs to just back up that pace though and get on with it and try and catch up with Lotus Racing and dual-wheeled. He's got a bit of a train behind him now. They're very sideways through there, so I think he's setting the tone for what we can expect from him for the rest of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the top two of dual-wheel and Lotus Racing just increasing that advantage as Kurumania and Dojo Racing squabbled in those opening couple of corners. So they now have about a second or two's buffer over Kurumania there in third position. So that is going to be a welcome sight for them at the moment, and remains to be seen what will happen over the course of this race, of course, whether the drivers will pit in front or whether they will opt to go to the end of the race before opting to instead of opting to pit, rather, I should say. So let's keep an eye out and see what strategy is going to come into play now here as well. And in terms of the time difference before the regions, we've got 5 different regions that compete here in Gran Turismo, and Asia would have been one of the first regions, so they would have been able to have a bit of a reference from the Oceania region, for example, or the European region, to see what strategies they were doing. So is that going to be a bit of a disadvantage to them? Will we see drivers pitting when they don't need to, perhaps, and making those, I want to say errors, it's not an error as such, but it's making those strategy calls that they think are right at that particular time?
Yeah, it's taking the gamble, isn't it? That was a massive sideways moment by Dojo then. Tom just jumped out of his seat next to him when he saw that.
Nail me down.
It was unbelievable. What a moment. Really good save though, but that's how hard these guys are pushing. And I think people like Dojo Racing and Kurumania now, they've got to be pitting in this race, surely, because of just how hard they are pushing. Really exuberant driving styles. They want to try and get things done early on, but dual-wheeled and Lotus Racing are driving away at the moment, it must be said, as the field starts to spread out. We may see these guys try and sort of just follow one another around the Nordschleife section rather than trying to make moves and having a go. Maybe better to play it safe and then, you know, save your tyres, but these are racing drivers. It's never as simple as just telling someone to not go for it, isn't it? A
little bit sideways there for Dojo Racing and HHF as well, as they were coming through the right-hander. They're heading in towards the carousel section briefly in a few moments' time as well. So keep an eye out and see what will happen going on through there. It's so much one at a time through this part of the lap, and everybody keeping it relatively sensible so far, I think it's fair to say, out on track. Not particularly any rash moves aside from what we saw between Kurumania and Dojo Racing, but everyone just sort of biding their time. The inherent problem with that, though, is it's just allowing the gaps to stretch out a bit more than perhaps they might like. Yeah,
definitely. They want to be in the slipstream of people where it needs to be. But at the same time, you don't want to be pushing the car too hard to try and catch up to the person in front. It's a real balancing act of what you want to do, and even though you know it's only a 3-lap race, you've got to think the long game here. As we see dual-wheeled controlling the pace at the front, 1.4 seconds over Lotus Racing. And look how beautiful this looks. It's just amazing. The light reflecting off the circuit, and on board now with dual-wheeled as he goes
through the mist as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant to see, isn't it? Look at it.
fantastic stuff here through the left-hander, and smooth like a baby is dual-wheeled at the moment. And that's going to be very crucial for him because he doesn't have a car in front of him that's distracting him. He's not squabbling for any cars from behind, and he's got a nice, classically smooth driving style, which is going to be helping that tyre life just extended a trifle to the end of this race.
Yeah, definitely, and this section is all about being smooth, keeping up the momentum as well, because, you know, you're going through here at such high speed. This left-hander is probably one of the scariest corners on the North Slope, to be fair. He really chucks it in, but yeah, like you say, even with the correction of the oversteer, so gentle with it, so smooth, and even through this little right-hander as well, which can often upset a lot of people. I think dual-wheeled, you know, he may be able to make these tyres last. I say that, and he chucks it sideways into a right-hander, so he must have been listening to somebody about it. But yeah, there is every opportunity though that he might not pit. We don't know until we see it.
Yeah, the old Japanese art of drifting coming out there for dual wheel, but he's driving that car like a spoon through treacle at the moment. He's so smooth and so characteristically brilliant at just keeping that tyre management at a constant. Lotus Racing T127 also doing a very good job there in second position. Further back there's a good little battle going on just in the fringes of the top 10. Miura and DND QP777 a couple of tenths of a second apart from one another, so that's a good little battle that's going on just inside the top 10, as we were saying. And here it is as we look at it on your screen. So very close here then from DND. Will he be able to find a way past Miura? He's not quite close enough to make anything work because it's so narrow through this section of the lap, but maybe he's thinking about lining something up onto the Dottinger Höhe, for example.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea. It's just about identifying your opportunities where your rival may be a bit slower. He's taken a lot of liberties through the grass and the gravel there, and I'll tell you what, you can definitely tell that we're on board with him though. The very bright pink roof, of course, a nice tribute there to, of course, Antoine Hubert as well, which is nice to see. That's a really sort of nice touching thing, that, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Really brilliant there from DND QP, paying tribute to Antoine Hubert, who sadly was killed in an accident at Spa-Francorchamps just a couple of weeks ago. Very nice for him to do that. Look at Miura in the forefront of his shot, meanwhile, who's just struggling to make the apex of that right-hander, just not able to get the car connected up. Look, again, missing an apex, running a bit wide. He looks like he's on the back foot, doesn't seem to be as comfortable as DND QP. That is why the gap shrunk so significantly over the last few corners or so, of the last half a lap. There's a bit of air going on through there, but I reckon if he can get a good run here, DND, he could be in with a shout of trying to find his way past on the Dottinger Höhe, but maybe he won't want to do that.
Yeah, we saw a couple of guys in one of the other regions races, we're not going to spoil it for you, hanging back slightly even though they were in the slipstream, just because, you know, when you're the car that's given the slipstream behind, it's not a very nice experience because in a way, you're not really in control of the situation and there's nothing you can do. So if you're the car behind and you choose whether you use that slipstream or not, it can actually play quite a lot of mind games to the car that's ahead of you. So it'll be interesting to see whether D&D does that. Dual wheel now just coming onto the Dottinger Höhe, like you say.
2.3 seconds, the advantage that he has as well. So has just been steadily increasing that one over the last half a lap or so. Will he end up pitting at the end of lap 1? Will he pit on lap 2? Or will he decide to go right to the very end of the race without pitting? Don't forget 14 times tyre wear as well on this Sport Hard compound. So they're not going to want to go the full race distance, but it is possible to try and do so if you've got enough of an advantage. If the driver behind pits, that's great for you. If you both don't pit, then you're both in exactly the same situation. It's just down to who of the drivers who has managed their tyres better. So let's wait and see what will happen. One thing I'm very impressed with actually here, Chaz, as well, is look at how close the gap is between the entirety of the field. You can see the mini-map on the right-hand side of your screen, and everyone within relative touching distance of one another, all the way back to 18th place, for example.
Yeah, Strutter HVN2, 9 seconds off the car in front. Biggest gap ahead of that is Vivio, 4 seconds down on Cavallino Sport. So it is still very bunched up in a way. It may seem on screen right now that, you know, you're only looking at one car every so often. I say that, TSK Racing Sim and Voltitatsu side by side down the straight, giving us something to look at. A bit of a door bang there, a little bit of a nudge, just saying hello, just letting him go past into the first corner. Then heavy braking zone here. What do you make of this first section, Tom?
I think it's absolutely fantastic. I am a fan of the Grand Prix layout of the Nürburgring. I know it divides opinion. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I do love this circuit, and I think it is absolutely fantastic. 9:10, the first driver to blink. He goes into the pit lane, and then at the end of lap 1, here is Voltitatsu just closing that gap up to TSK Racing, putting the pressure on him for 6th position.
He's missed an apex there. He's going to have to call him a taxi to get him to the apex, I think, at this rate. But he's really putting the pressure on, though. It just shows how it affects him. I mean, he's just gone past him down the straight, but, you know, he's putting the pressure on straight away. He's not letting him get away with it. 9:10 there as well. It's good to reference that it's a 21-second pit stop as well. So it's a bit longer than pit stops that we've seen in other rounds of this championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is going to be crucial, isn't it? You're going to need to claw that deficit back as well. So TSK Racing just coming then through the Schumacher-Res, riding on board with the Japanese driver now. There is Volti Tatsu, close behind Miura, not too far adrift from him. They're all relatively within touching distance of one another, but just not quite enough, close enough to be able to make those moves here at the moment.
Yeah, they're all sort of just staying line astern, just watching what the other drivers are doing. I mean, they'll go for a move if it presents itself, but it's not really the time or the place to take a risk, I don't think. With another lap to go, and you know how long these laps are here, it's probably best that they just hang back a little bit, maybe save the tyres for what they need, and you know, they could still be thinking about changing strategy, just depending on what the other drivers are doing. They may not just think, oh, I'm just definitely going to pit this lap. They may think, oh, well, that guy's not pitted, so I'm not pitting either.
No, absolutely not. And, well, it could be a case of who blinks first. Of course, the driver who will have the opportunity to blink first is the race leader of dual wheeled. Here is Dojo Racing Apex, who we saw going hammer and tom with Kuru Mania in the opening stages of that race. Battle seems to have quietened down between them. Last time around on track, they were separated by about a second. In fact, 1 second and 2 thousandths they were separated by in terms of their lap time. So considering it's a 10-minute lap, 9 minutes 55 to be exact, that is very impressive indeed to be so close in terms of their pace. Yeah,
there's so many places where you could lose a tenth or gain a tenth, you know, over the course of a lap. That amounts to a hell of a lot. Dojo Racing really chucking that car around though at the moment by the look of it. So as we were saying before, him and Kuru Mania are going to be the ones that that may need to save these tyres. And we'll have to see whether they pit at the end of this. Look at that shot of them coming over the hill there. That's fantastic.
Taking the grass there as well.
Whoa,
look at that. Oh, he's overcooked it. He's into the wall there. Dojo Racing Apex, a big mistake from the Japanese driver. It's going to allow Hein to catch up and probably find his way back through there as well. He sensibly pulls off the racing line as Dojo, such is the closing speed of the rest of the field. They're coming down the hill now, but that just goes to show one simple mistake can cost you, in the case of Dojo Racing, 2 positions. And you can see Volti Tatsu there is ready to take advantage if anything comes awry with him once more.
Yeah, real shame that for Dojo. There's us thinking, oh, that looks fantastic. Look at him giving it a nice drift around the corner. No, not quite how he wanted it to go, to be honest. But, you know, that happens when you push in as hard as you can on the limits. Volti Tatsu, interestingly enough, has a penalty as well. Only a minor one, so it may have just been track limits. Surprised Dojo didn't get one for that, but I suppose if he's not had any warnings before, then he'll be okay. But, yeah, that's not going to have done his tyres any good. As we look now, Kuru Mania has really closed in on Lotus Racing here, and Lotus has actually dropped off from the race leader quite a bit, so he must have had something go awry for him, and this could turn into a really fruity little
wide as well. And the thing is, that's rear-wheel driving. Getting on the power when you're on the grass is a one-way ticket to the barrier, or turning and facing your opponent in the other direction, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely is. Got to be really careful in these things as they chuck it in. Look at them getting sideways through every single corner. And Kuru Mania, you can just feel the body language of this car right now. I wouldn't like to be Lotus Racing looking in that mirror right now, because Kuru Mania is really looking feisty here. He wants that second place. He'll be very, very focusing now for this part of the lap, because this is not an easy section to navigate on your own. Never mind when you've got an angry Kuru Mania behind you.
Yeah, right up your chuffer for Lotus Racing T127 there, and he's got a face full of anime livery at the moment as the Japanese driver. The two competitors, the two compatriots fighting for position and just backing off a little bit there. Kuru Mania lifting and coasting going into that right-hander there, so doesn't want to get too close on the old closing speed going into the harder braking zones on this lap, and sensible driving there from Kuru. He knows what he needs to do here.
Yeah, definitely. I think that he's realised that dual wheeled is running away with this at the moment, so he's not going to, you know, go past at the first opportunity and, you know, try and make a move that doesn't need to happen. He's just going to sit there and just see whether he can unsettle Lotus Racing into a mistake, because he runs onto the grass again. That's going to kill his momentum, and this is a high-speed part of the circuit, so it's going to matter there. But I think Kuru Mania again just backing off just to hold that position. He may even give him a push down here, to be fair. He may be helping him out in some way. As they go into the right-hander, pops and bangs from the exhaust, sounds fantastic. Light reflecting off the surface, looks amazing. And Kuru Mania, yeah, he's pretty much just shoving him along right now. There we go.
Yeah, these two are working together, really. The good thing is, if they did work together, they might be able to close down that gap to Dual Wheel, but it is 6.6 seconds, and you can see that Kurumania, he wants to find his way through. Surely he's going to have a bit of a lunge down into this corkscrew section. This carousel section of the lap. Lotus Racing squeezing Kurumania over. They're running side by side as they come down this straight. They're going to flick it right in a few moments' time. Kuru's going to have the inside line against Lotus Racing T127. He's got the position. He's now ahead. Is Lotus Racing going to be able to fight back? Is he going to think about a bit of a lunge down in towards the hard braking zone they're going to come into in a couple of moments' time? Bit wide there for Kurumania. Lotus Racing keeping it a bit tidier here, but in the slipstream there you can see clearly Kurumania has got a bit more of a pace advantage, but he runs it a bit wide through that long sweeping right-hander. However, Lotus Racing is not able to find his way through.
No, Kuru was very determined there, and he made it look good as well on the way. It was a bit of a nerve-wracking moment though, because that's a very high-speed part of the track, if not the straight, probably the fastest part of the circuit, into the carousel. Lovely shot as the cars really lean on it there and get round. They pop out of the top of the corkscrew. I've just called it the corkscrew after I've just called it the carousel. Straight away he goes though, absolutely on the power, up the hill, and yeah, he's starting to put a little bit of a gap though, so it just shows the determination from this driver. He's doing amazingly.
Yeah, it certainly is. You can see further back as well, great battle going on for fourth place. TSK Racing Sim, Dojo Racing there, who has managed to get himself back ahead of Hein HHF, who was struggling with him. Of course, that mistake that Dojo Racing made earlier on in the lap, costing him nearly three positions, but he's made one of those positions back, and now he's trying to find his way past TSK Racing as they come through the mist in the dusky part of this circuit. The dusky overnight sky looms overhead. The headlights are on for these drivers. Look at that, flash out and sideways.
Oh, Dojo's giving it everything. Those rear tyres are going to be shredded by the end of this. There's someone there in the background with the... oh, it's Voltitatsu, sorry. Still got that 1 second penalty waiting for him. He's going to love that coming onto the Dottinger Hurt, I'm pretty sure. But this is becoming a bit of a train at the moment. This is going to be a real test of who's going to pit and who's not.
Yeah, it really is. Strategy is going to, I think, make or break this race. If anybody pits at the end of lap 2, I'll be surprised. But if they do pit at the end of lap 2, it's a case of, if they've got fresher rubber, can they make up the gap to the car that they're trying to chase down? That's the crucial thing. Yes,
and well, we saw that the pit stop for 9.10 before was, what, 21 seconds? So, you know, you've got a heck of a lot of ground to make up if you're going to do it. You better do the lap of your life. So it may be worth staying out. Oh, wow. TSK really on the limit there, very sideways from that rear-facing camera. And he's really in the clutches of Dojo Racing now as they go through the Stefan Beloff S.
Yeah, coming through there now, flicking it left. We're going to flick it right in a couple of moments' time here as well. This is absolutely fantastic. They're going to flick it right, then they'll flick it left. Into this Stefan Beloff S we go then. TSK Racing, look at the lock he's having to use. He's really struggling with understeer. The front tyres on his car are not complying in the way he would like, and Dojo Racing just looks to be a bit more comfortable. He's clearly pushing a bit harder, but of course that spin that he had on the track, that won't have helped with tyre wear either.
No, definitely not. It would have flat spotted them and obviously overheated them as much as it could have. Now he's going to be in the slipstream though. He's not got a massive run on him because of the fact that he's quite close already, but I'm pretty sure that we'll see him go past down here then.
Yeah, coming onto the straight there, but backing off. Yeah, he's backing off. He is backing off Dojo Racing Apex. He's trying not to find his way through against TSK Racing, and TSK Racing, I still don't agree with that. He's weaving all over the straight here. I just don't think that's the right way to defend at all. I think you should make one move, you should stick to that line. Yeah. Weaving all over the straight, I don't think is the right example to be setting. You can see Dojo, though, has closed up in the latter half of this Dössinger Hurt. He is going to go for it. He's going to go for the outside line. He'll have the overspeed. He'll have the advantage, and he does now have track position. Now, this is bold, so is he going to go straight on here, Dojo Racing? Is TSK Racing going to follow him? I don't know if that's the right call, because if he does decide to pit, as Dual Wheel does pit, so the race leader pits then. But what about Kurumania? Is he going to box here at the end of lap 2? Are they all going to box? Or are some drivers going to be brave? Are they going to be bold and carry on? Lotus Racing boxes, Kurumania boxes as well. Dojo Racing into the pits, TSK Racing. So they are all into the pit lane then at the end of lap 2 out of 3 here.
Yeah, everybody coming in. I think they're all pushing so hard they can't risk to not come in now. It's it'd be a bit daft of them not to, I think, at this stage. 20 seconds back though. So dual wheeled out he goes. Kurumania comes out in second place ahead of Lotus Racing now.
Yeah, Dojo Racing Apex making his way back out onto the track. TSK Racing, and Hein has managed to leapfrog Dojo Racing in the pit lane there as well into 4th place, 5th place I should say rather.
A really, really nice little shuffle from these boys now, but that means that they're all still on a level playing field now. They're all on fresh rubber. They're all going to absolutely go for it. There is Hein.
Well, the man who's out of place here is Vivio R8. He is has not pitted, so he is on very old tyres and is squabbling with drivers, or will be squabbling with drivers who have pitted and have got fresher rubber on underneath their car. So, is he going to be able to hold on? No, he's certainly not, because look at that. That was 3 wide into that right-hander for position. TSK Racing manages to get ahead. Vivio is going to go sliding backwards through the field, as you would begin to expect. And now he is going to potentially be losing another track position here as well. As you can see him fighting against Volti Tatsu. Here's Miura, who's well wide. Vivio's struggling to find some grip going through there. And he's getting a bit of a bump here as well from Volti Tatsu.
Yeah, Volti Tatsu saying, you're going to launch it into corners like that, son. Get out of the way. Vivio's trying everything he can on these absolutely dead tyres now. And Volti Tatsu's all over the back of him, just saying, come on. It's time for you to shift out the way, sunshine. He's going to go a bit later on the brakes, gets it turned in, and that's the difference now. These guys are going to have so much more confidence in the tyres than Vivio isn't. I mean, Vivio has shown himself there that, you know, going into that hairpin, you can't push the car in. Look at the drive off the corner even as well. You've got to remember it's not all just about the handling when it comes to the tyres. It's about the traction you can get off the corner as well, and the drive that just having that fresher rubber can give you. And Vivio is going to lose the place indefinitely there.
Keep an eye out as well in the background. Look at that as well, as DMP is going side by side with De Rollin into the chicane. Isn't quite able to make the move there. Is DMP has to wait another day, and Vivio there as well. He's on the defensive. Look at De Rollin also on the defensive for 10th position as well against DND. Not able to find a way through at the moment there as well, but definitely has got a good amount of pace behind him. De Rollin once again taking that defensive line. That compromises his exit speed and allows DND to close up a little bit more as we ride on board then with De Rollin coming down through the Hatzenbach section of the lap then onto the Nordschleife layout. We are for the final time out of 3 of asking. And out in front, meanwhile, Dual Wheeled has got a 10.5 second advantage. That is just so impressive. It's hard to really overstate just how impressive that is. Lotus racing there in 3rd position. He's closing that gap down actually to Kuru Mania, so that could be a nice little scrap that goes on in the latter half of this lap.
Yeah, they're really starting to close up in places and spread out in others at the moment. These guys in the midfield are having a really good old ding-dong, aren't they? Really chucking these Supras about. Looks like a whale of a time, to be honest with you. But these guys will be determined and focused. Look at them all using the grass to get the sort of smoothest line that they can through the long right-hander.
Yeah, through the flag puts there. It's a very historical part of the lap, and very well known for a myriad of reasons. And, well, you can see why, of course, with the elevation change they have there to flick it right. The weight transfer is all over the place going into that corner there as well. Here is Volti Tatsu, though. Volti Tatsu De Rollin, I should say, on the defensive against DND. And all this while they've been squabbling, it's allowed Le Cavallino to come into play now as well. De Rollin once again defends his line. DND is forced to go for the outside line through the right-hander. He's going to try and hold the way through around the outside. Will he have track position? Will he have traction on the outside? He does not. And now Le Cavallino is coming back into play now as well. So it's going to be a 3-way scrap for position. Le Cavallino is trying to find his way through against DND, but not able to do that so far. And Vivio is a bit of a sitting duck here on the older rubber. So coming through into the right-hander, Vivio and De Rollin are in the same boat. They're on clapped-out tyres. Meanwhile, Le Cavallino and, of course, the driver who we were talking about a couple of moments ago of DND have all pitted, so they have got fresher rubber underneath their car.
Yes, really kicking off between these boys now. Everyone's trying to defend as the best they can, but they need to work together to make sure they don't lose out so much to the guys ahead. As D&D going down the inside there of De Rollin as well. It's just so close between all of them. Fantastic battling to see. They're all so determined just to get every little bit of ground they can. It's amazing, especially on a circuit like the Nordschleife as well, where room isn't really at a premium, to be honest. There's not loads of it, and they're just attacking everything. It's fantastic. It's not changed their mindset at all.
Not at all, no. DND there really putting that pressure on. Don't forget De Rollin, of course, as we said, hasn't changed tyres. They are very second-hand now. They're 2.5, I don't know, 2.5, I am correct in my correction. 2.5 laps old now there, and well, you can see what that means, because DMP is trying to send it through down the inside on the curb. He has the outside line, though. Will he try and switch back? No, he won't, because De Rollin shuts the door very firmly into the right-hander, which follows. So DND, he's got the pace, he's got the advantage, he's not got the room to try and make a move and get himself past. What he needs to do is get ahead and break free from this group as they squabble amongst one another and not allow Le Cavallino to come through, because because Le Cavallino is another driver who has pitted, and that is the last thing that DND is going to want as soon as he finds his way past de Rollin here.
Yeah, definitely. He just doesn't want to be able to let Le Cavallino take any advantage. It looks like he's trying to already at this stage. Just see what he does as they go through this really fast section. I think he may just stay behind him for now and just wait while they stay line astern, because he knows that de Rollin's not going to be as quick. Here's Hein and TSK as well, side by side. That's not really somewhere you want to try and go around the outside. TSK needs to just stay single file there. They've got Dojo Racing behind them as well. These guys all pitted, of course, so they're on similar rubber. He's flashing the lights at him. Is Dojo Racing. You've got to try everything, haven't you?
The old endurance racing tactic to try and distract the driver in front, and you can see as we ride on board then with Dojo Racing, TSK in front in the middle of this sandwich going on. Hein HHF very close in front of these guys as well as they flick it through the left-hander. Hein a little bit wide through that line through the corner, but TSK is compromised his run. He had to back out of it. That allows Dojo to close up very significantly indeed. They're going to come into the carousel section in a couple of moments' time for the final time of asking, and it's so much one at a time through there that I highly doubt we'll see any moves being made. Meanwhile, the battle down inside the top 10. Le Cavallino has gotten ahead of de Rollin and also of DND as well. So Le Cavallino has managed to really profit significantly here and is now inside the top 10 for the first time in a very long time in this race.
Yeah, nicely done. It must have been very opportune stuff to get that done. So very nicely played. But what a great little manoeuvre that was going to be by Dojo there. You saw him sort of back out just before the left-hander, and then he got on the throttle, nearly got alongside TSK, but didn't quite get it done. That's just because of how narrow this circuit is. Anywhere else he would have got that absolutely nailed. But now they're coming into a really testing section of the circuit. It's very windy and it's up and downhill very quickly, as a lot of the circuit is, but...
TSK was having a look up the inside, and then HHF was on the defensive there for Hein. So side by side they come nearly into the right-hander. They are still going to go side by side. Dojo Racing ready to pick up the pieces. Hein's got the inside line, and TSK is forced to the outside, but he's got the inside line for the following right-hander. This is absolutely brilliant racing going on. Here comes Dojo. Volti Tatsu also in amongst the mix, and Miura at the back of the shot. So 5 cars squabbling for position on the narrowest parts of the circuit here at the Nordschleifer as well. They're setting it up an absolute treat on the run to the Dottinger Höhe.
And this is, of course, such an important section of the circuit. It's all about momentum as well. If you're offline for one corner here, then it ruins the next corner for you, and there's a massive domino effect. So these guys are really bunched together. They've got to have their wits about them properly to make sure that the guys in front are not braking too early, that they go into the back of them and cause an incident. They're really going to be on their toes now. As we're on board with Miura, looking at Volti Tatsu, just ahead is Dojo Racing, who's really putting the pressure onto Hein, and then TSK, of course, at the front of this train. Through the right-hander now, then they've got the big weight transfer as the cars go over to the left. You don't want to take too much curb on there, otherwise it might push the car wide, as you see there with Volti Tatsu. And now they're coming down to the jump. Well, they would have been, sorry. I've got the wrong section of the circuit there, haven't I? There they go, then they're going to be pretty much flat through here.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, this is the problem. That's where you can lose time, and that can really compromise your run into the following right-hander as well. And if that puts you on the back foot, well, that's not what you want to be doing, because you're going to go through this left-hander here now, and we're going to be getting ready to head on to the Dottinger Höhe. Then, for the final time of asking, Dual Wheel has got this one wrapped up, signed, sealed, and delivered. 13 seconds a year ahead of Kuru Mania. Brilliant driving for him. He's already on the Dottinger Höhe and leading the way very commandingly indeed. There's a great battle going on for second as well. 0.8 of a second separating those guys. But this 5-way scrap for position is about to come to a head then, as we get ready to come on to the Dottinger Höhe then for the final time of asking. Miura gets great drive out of there in 8th position. They're all darting in the slipstream. This is where it counts. This is where they need to try and find their way through. Volti Tatsu tries to squeeze him over. He tries to defend his line. He's able to do so. And the man at the front of this gaggle as well, Hein there and TSK, not able to find a way past one another as things stand.
No, I was just about to say get your popcorn, but it's actually a lot more tame than I thought. They're doing a slight bit of weaving, not quite to the extent that we saw before. But
here's the battle for second.
Yeah, this is going to really kick off. Final few corners for you, Tom. I'll let you call it.
Well, absolutely brilliant stuff. Dual Wheel comes over the line to take victory here at the Nürburgring in the Asia GR Supra GT Cup race. Kuru Mania, though, he's defending with every ounce of talent that he has. He comes out of the final turn and he finishes in 2nd position here at the Nürburgring. What a great result for Kuru Mania. Lotus Racing in 3rd, and TSK is going to finish in 4th, surely just ahead of Dojo Racing. But look at this as well. Here we go then. Brilliant driving. It's going to go down to the line and kicking up the dust and the curbs there is one of the Supras as they come over the line. And who gets 4th place? It's TSK ahead of Volti Tatsu. He was the driver who kicked up the cones on the outside there. Hein HHF in 6th, Miura in 7th, and Dojo Racing was really the big loser on the final lap there. He lost out and finished down in 8th position by just 17 thousandths of a second. There you can see La Cavallino in 9th, DND in 10th, Poison 412 in 11th, De Rollin down there in 12th position, and the other drivers coming over to complete the 16 finishers here. The 16 finishers rather, I should say, the point scorers here at the GR Supra GT Cup race there. Chaz, we've got final confirmation of the results, and Dual Wheel taking a very well-deserved and authoritative victory.
Oh yeah, definitely, and the fastest lap of the race by over 3 seconds as well, so that just shows the outright pace that he had throughout the whole thing. Wasn't really in any doubt that he was going to win that, to be honest, once he'd run away at the beginning. Kurumania, they're great for second place. That was a really good battle to watch, and that midfield battle to go 3 wide at the end. Like you say, there was cones and dust and everything everywhere. Absolutely fantastic stuff to watch, really dramatic, and of course, a really, really well-deserving winner, though, at the end of it all.
Let's take a look at the point standings then, shall we, and see exactly what that means for it. After 13 rounds of the GR Supra GT Cup, well, Karakuma still leads the way, but Yamato Racing and Dojo Racing managed to leapfrog Kawakama and Kazuno Kota. So, positions changing inside the top 5 there, 2nd and 3rd place. New names there on the board. Kurumania with that 2nd position finish as well. He leapfrogs a few drivers and is now up into 8th position, closes that gap down to Porky Corgi in 7th.
Yeah, it's really, I'm just trying to get my head around how close it is as well. And of course, the guys as well from 11th down to 16th, they've all gone up the standings as well. But even the gap between those lot as well is so close all the way through. And like we were saying at the top of the broadcast, any one result from just one of these drivers could leapfrog them up so many places, or even drop them down so many places. It's incredible that it stayed that close.
Absolutely fantastic stuff then. So our focus, of course, does shift to the final of the GR Supra GT Cup on the 26th of October. Do join us. We'll be live in Tokyo for that. From Chaz Draycott and from myself, Tom Brooks, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you for the GR Supra GT Cup final in Tokyo.